Hello, this is our Parent Information Night for the Dual Language Program in the DeKalb School District.
I'm pleased to share with you an opportunity for enrichment for students in D428 through our two-way dual language program. You may have heard about dual language. It's not a new program. It's been in many schools in our nation for the past 100 years. In Illinois, some of our neighboring school districts, like Schaumburg, successfully implemented dual language programming starting in the mid-90s. Other districts like Elgin, West Chicago, Naperville, Barrington, Harvard, and Woodstock have had dual language programs for many years. We're looking forward to starting this program in the Littlejohn, Portland, and Founders neighborhood boundary for kindergarten starting the fall of 2020. Here's a 5-minute video that shows what two-way dual language looks like in Harvard. They have a similar program structure as the one we are implementing.
I am really proud to be part of Harvard's dual language program.
La idea más importante para mí a ser una persona bilingüe es que yo puedo comunicar con personas en mi comunidad que no hablan español o no hablan inglés.
Me ha ayudado mucho con mi educación y ayudar a otras personas que no saben español o no saben inglés. Y me ha ayudado mucho para comunicarme con muchas personas.
I have made more friends because I've had another language. Since Harvard is so diverse, I've been able to connect to more people, which I absolutely love.
For my kids, for them to be able to speak fluent in Spanish is just nothing short of amazing.
He visto mucho progreso porque cuando estuve chiquita no sabía mucho porque vivía con mi abuelita que sabía no más español y no mucho inglés y hablaba español con ella, pero cuando estuve creciendo y aprendiendo más español, ahora puedo hablar más con ella.
My wife and I were discussing if we should go dual language or monolingual language. Was what are we giving up? What are they going to miss out on?
It takes time to learn a second language, and later on it evens out. We see that middle school and high school kids are scoring both in their native language and in their target language higher than kids who have been only in an English-only program.
When I first was asked to teach dual language, I was pretty nervous because I knew I was going to have limited time to try to achieve the same goals. But then at the end of the first year when I taught it, it was really inspiring and amazing seeing like what the students learned. The students are ready to learn so much and so quickly. And so at the end of the year, my students were able to achieve the same goals in addition to also knowing a second language.
Cada día aprendo nuevas palabras en inglés y en español.
Being able to think in this language, thinking in another language is huge because you can almost think from a different perspective.
Dual language kids don't see language as much as they just see this as something they continually do. It's part of their day-to-day existence. It's part of the day in Spanish, part of the day in English, and they don't see it as an added thing to their life or any complication. It's a benefit.
Compared to where we started to where we are today. They're now very proficient in English and Spanish, reading and writing.
If I don't know a word in English or Spanish, I can use my knowledge from either languages to try and help me figure out the meaning of the word.
My favorite thing about dual language is the fact that we're learning two languages at the same time. I feel like that will help me out for my future career.
Once you get out there in the workforce, a lot of people will ask you if you're bilingual, and that's a big plus.
When you get to the high school level, you can actually earn the seal of biliteracy, which means you can read in English and in Spanish. And this opens up many careers.
Yo quiero hacer un doctor y yo puedo usar el español para comunicar con más personas.
I think that you learn more with teachers from different countries.
Some of my daughters and my son's favorite teachers have been teachers from Mexico and from Spain and El Salvador that they've had that have given them an insight to culture.
A student's ability to attend is much better in dual language because they have to. They have to look at you, they have to listen, they have to figure out. You know, when you're doing physical actions for vocabulary, they're watching you and they're listening to it and they're learning it.
They have learned so much. They've had great teachers. They've made some wonderful friends. It's just been a very, very good experience for them.
The world has gotten a lot smaller for them, and that's a good thing.
El futuro de nuestro programa es muy fuerte. Vamos a mejorar todas las partes de nuestros programas y tenemos maestros muy fuertes, muy listos y el futuro es muy seguro con las personas que tenemos.
Dual language is good. Estamos dispersando nuestro amor por todo el mundo.
One thing I really love about dual language is that you can just understand other people.
Being an older sibling for my younger siblings, for them being in the dual language, I like to communicate them in Spanish all the time in the house. And it's hilarious. My parents have no idea what we're saying.
Our vision is to support all bilingual students to reach biliteracy and obtain the academic competency necessary to meet the demands of career and college readiness by implementing a two-way dual language program in D428.
Studies are showing that children who learn multiple languages early have positive consequences in their overall cognitive development. Being bilingual gives you the opportunity to expand your circle of communication because you're able to communicate with more people. Being bilingual fosters a healthy respect for other languages and other cultures as well as your own. These three things, becoming bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural, are three important skills that students need in order to be prepared for success in our ever-changing, diverse, and global economy.
What is a dual language program? In a nutshell, a dual language program is an instructional program that uses two languages during the instructional day. Our program will use English and Spanish. In our current program at Portland and Founders, there are 3 monolingual English classes and 1 bilingual classroom. Each blue square represents an English fluent student, and each green square represents an English learner student who has a Spanish-speaking background. In the two-way dual language program, there will still be 2 monolingual classrooms with English speakers. The other 2 classrooms, however, will be made up of 50% English fluent students and 50% English learner students who have a Spanish-speaking background. The goal is to make all the students biliterate.
At Littlejohn, we will still be using the same structure. However, there are currently 2 monolingual English classes and 1 bilingual classroom. In the two-way dual language program, there will still be 1 monolingual classroom with English speakers. The other 2 classrooms, however, will be made up of 50% English fluent students and 50% English learner students who have a Spanish-speaking background.
This structure is based on a lot of research. One of the biggest pieces of research comes from the 2009 study by Thomas and Collier. They followed 6.2 million students starting from kindergarten through high school and found that students participating in dual language program showed higher in academic growth in reading and math than their non-dual language peers. That was for English learners as well as English fluent students participating in dual language for a minimum of 6 years. The 50th NCE, in layman's terms, is the level students need to score in order to be considered as passing the test. The distance between the 50th NCE, or passing line, and where students actually score is considered the academic achievement gap. The current one-way dual language program closes the academic achievement gap at the end of 8th grade. That program only has English learners from Spanish-speaking backgrounds in it. The two-way dual language program closes the academic achievement gap by the end of 5th grade. It closes that gap for English speakers who are learning Spanish too. If you follow the line, you'll see that not only do students meet the benchmark, they surpass it. They go on to score better on high school tests than their classmates who were not in dual language. That holds true for both English learners and Spanish learners. This is a reminder of that gap. Students not in dual language programs do not close their achievement gaps. Dual language is the only type of program that meets their needs.
Our program utilizes both languages to provide academic content. Students will be reading and writing through specific content in 2 languages. In D428, kindergarten students will experience Spanish literacy through social studies content. They'll also practice math in Spanish. Students will learn English literacy through the science content. Music, art, and PE will be taught in English. The way the students' day works out is that 50% of their instructional time will be in Spanish and 50% of their instructional time will be in English.
The partner teachers exchange students at midday. Since in most cases morning and afternoon sessions are not of equal length, students who receive English instruction in the morning one week receive their morning instruction in Spanish the next week and vice versa. This is cost neutral in the case of materials because we already have everything purchased for our current English and bilingual classrooms. The materials are simply being used twice, once in the morning with group 1 and again in the afternoon with the second group of students.
A typical day in the life of a two-way dual language student will look like this. Half of the students would start their day in the bilingual teacher's class, which is taught all in Spanish. They'll learn calendar activities, phonemic awareness, math, and literacy through social studies in the morning. The teacher will use visual supports to help all students understand the content in Spanish. Around the middle of the day, the students will go to lunch, recess, maybe even PE or music. When they return, they'll go across the hall to the monolingual teacher's classroom, which is taught all in English. They'll learn English phonics and literacy through science during her 2 hours with the monolingual teacher. Both teachers utilize a lot of visual supports and routines to make sure students are accessing the content regardless of whether they are fluent in the language of instruction. As the video we saw at the beginning stated, it may take students a little longer to become fluent readers and writers in the two-way dual language program. The first few years, students are learning in 2 languages, so it makes sense that while they are learning double the basics in 2 languages in K through 2, they won't be as fluent as an English fluent student in a monolingual English classroom. However, in the upper elementary grades and into middle school, both English fluent and English learners end up outperforming their monolingual English peers and English learners who do not participate in the two-way dual language program. There are studies out of Washington, D.C. and North Carolina that show students in 5th grade 2 dual language program scoring a year or higher in reading and math than their classmates of the same race and socioeconomic backgrounds who were in monolingual English. If you are planning on enrolling your child in two-way dual language, then you need to be comfortable with the idea that they may be a bit behind monolingual peers in the first few years. Be patient, because they will outperform them by the end of 5th grade. Students in two-way dual language have the same Common Core, NGSS, and C3 standards as students in monolingual classrooms. They just tackle those standards in a different, more comprehensive manner. They participate in the same district and state testing as other students as well.
The program will start in kindergarten in the fall of 2020. It will start with incoming kindergarten students and roll up a grade level each year. All Spanish-speaking background English learners are automatically accepted into the program. State and federal laws require that they are offered bilingual programming. We typically have 23 to 25 English learners in bilingual kindergarten every year. Now that we are moving to two-way dual language programming, there will be 25 spots for English learners and 25 spots for English fluent students. Here's the catch with two-way dual language. A classroom cannot have more than 50% of its students English fluent. That means that if we only have 23 English learners, we will only have 23 English fluent students. If more English learners join during the first semester of school, we will call families on the waiting list and invite them to join the class as well.
How will this work? English fluent students living in the Littlejohn, Portland, and Founders neighborhood boundary will be chosen through a lottery. You can take time, talk with your families, and turn it in at a later date. If you fill out the application, you can go to the school or the district office to turn it in. We'll assign a number to each application in order that they are turned in, put the number in a randomized number selection application, and pull numbers in May at the end of the school year. You will be notified in June if your child has been selected. If we don't have enough English fluent students from the neighborhood boundaries apply, we will open the lottery up to the bilingual boundaries. You can see that online at www.dist428.org.
One of the greatest indicators of student success in two-way dual language is parent participation. You may not speak the other language your child is learning, but you can help. You'll want to start out by talking to your child about what school will look like. Get them excited about half of the day being in English and half in Spanish. Let them know that they are safe. Help them feel confident to learn. Tell them how amazing they'll be at speaking two languages. Your child may come home tired and maybe even upset during the first 2 weeks of school as they get used to their new routine. If you've ever learned a new language, you may remember that your brain can actually hurt at the end of the day. Your child may go through this, so encourage them. Understand that they may need a nice nap before starting homework and other household routines. Let them know that in a few weeks, this whole dual language thing is going to be a breeze. You'll notice that their anxiety decreases after the first 2 weeks, and they'll be excited to go to school every day. What are some other things you can do? You can ask your child to tell you about his or her day. You can ask about new words that were learned. You can provide a routine and location for homework every night. Do you have cable or Netflix? Turn on Spanish-speaking children's shows to give them some more practice.
Let's talk again about commitment before you fill out the applications. It takes time to become bilingual. Second language studies show that it takes 5 to 7 years to become bilingual. This is why we're asking you to commit to kinder through 5th grade for the program. None of us are expecting the students to be fully bilingual and biliterate by the end of kindergarten. They'll have a lot of new language, but they'll need a few more years to become academically proficient in both languages. By filling out the application, you're committing to that. You're committing to loving your child when they come home anxious and frustrated because they didn't understand their teacher for half the day. You're committing to communicate through phone or email with that classroom teachers to let them know when your child is having a rough time so that the teacher can help the child during the school day. This program is voluntary. If you don't think two-way dual language is right for your child, he or she will go into a monolingual classroom.
If you have questions about the program, please contact Amy Kruk at the following phone number and email.